Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Todd Coons. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. I hope that I have some information that can inspire you and inform you and help you in your photography. If you've been here before, welcome back. I thank you guys for always returning back to these videos. Thank you for your comments, questions, and as always, I appreciate you guys a great deal. Today I want to talk about something that I have been meaning to talk about for quite a while, and as you know, I really don't do a lot of camera review stuff, but I do like to talk about the gear that I use and why I use it and how I use it. And one of my favorite pieces of equipment that I have acquired in the last 6-8 months, something like that. Maybe I've had it for a year, maybe it's been longer than I think, but one of the favorite things that I have in my arsenal, in my camera bag, is this Godox AD100. It is probably one of my favorite strobes of all time. Now, if you noticed in the description and in the thumbnail, I kind of said this is the greatest light ever. I know that that's super subjective. I'm trying to get people to click on the videos, I'll admit that. But my intent is to share a piece of equipment that I find very, very helpful in what I do, that not only is helpful in what I do, but it does it super well. Now, the Godox AD100 is obviously a very small strobe. It's not very big at all. In fact, it's really not much bigger than my Godox V1. It's very similar in size, so it's about the size of a speed light. Now, the 100 in the AD100 title refers to the watt seconds. It's a 100 watt second strobe. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but most speed lights are about 75 watt seconds, so that it is a touch more powerful than an average speed light. And it's not meant to go directly on top of your camera. As you can see, it comes with this, which is removable. It comes with this attachment to put it on a normal light stand. But there it is without that little attachment, and pretty super small. Now, one of the things that I love about this light is how small it is, how portable it is, how convenient it is in terms of just taking anywhere I need to go. You know, a lot of studio strobes are big and clunky, and this is just small and easy to deal with. Now, let me give you a little bit of some facts and figures here real quick, just to kind of give you an idea. This is a 100 watt second strobe. Whenever you double the amount of watt seconds, you're going to gain an extra stop. So if I go from a 100 watt second light to a 200 watt second light, that's one stop more power. Now, Godox sells a 100, a 200, a 300, a 400, and an AD600. I also think they have a 1200 watt second light, and you can see how progressively you're getting more powerful as you go. However, as you go up in power, you go up in price. The AD100 is a $299 strobe. The 200 is $349, the 300 is $499, the 400 watt second is $649, and the 600 watt second is $899. I did not look up the 1200, but it's obviously going to be even more. So one of the things I love about this little light, even though it's only 100 watt seconds as opposed to 2, 4, 6, whatever, it's only $299 for one of these, and I think they come in kits of 2 or 3. Probably save a little bit of money if you buy them in bulk. But for the price, $299, it's a nice little strobe unit. Now, obviously, one question that you have to ask when you have all these choices as far as the power that these Godox strobes do is 100 watt seconds enough power? For what I do, and I'm going to kind of show you guys what I do with it, it is more than enough. I have put it in a softbox, used it in the studio, used it for product photography. I can easily get f8 or f11 out of it with no problems whatsoever. On full power, depending on the setup, I probably could even get f16, which by and large, I am shooting at f8 or 11 most of the time, if not f4 or f5.6. Now, if I'm shooting people, portraits, or fashion, that kind of thing, I'm going to be wanting to shoot at an aperture more along the lines of f4, maybe even f2.8, in which case 100 watt second strobe is plenty powerful enough. Now, let me throw this one little thing out because I know this is important to some photographers. This light does shoot in high-speed sync, which if you don't know what high-speed sync is, I'm just going to kind of give you my general understanding of it. High-speed sync is a mode that the strobe can go into that allows you to shoot at a higher shutter speed than your sync speed. So typically a camera will have a sync speed where the first curtain of the shutter will open. Once it's completely open, the second curtain will shut. If you get above that sync speed, the first curtain is opening and the second curtain is shutting before that first curtain has completely opened. So when the strobe goes off, your shutter is not completely open and only part of your sensor is going to get flash exposure. So what high-speed sync does is it will actually pulsate the flash. You can't see it with your naked eye, but the flash is going off multiple times as that shutter curtain is going across your sensor. So flash, 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 and the entire sensor gets flash exposure. The problem with that is that I have found that I tend not to use high-speed sync is that when it's doing that pulsating thing, it's taking a great deal of power away from your strobe, which I've actually heard it can eat as much as 6 stops of light. So if you are a high-speed sync shooter, one of the problems you're going to run into with only 100 watt seconds is that you're going to lose so much power being in high-speed sync that 100 watt seconds may not be powerful enough. That might be one of the reasons you go to a 600 watt second or a 400 watt second strobe. Now the reality is that if you go up into one of those bigger, more powerful strobes, you get to a much bigger physical size strobe. And one of the things I love about this is the size. It's just simple and easy to carry around. I don't have this big heavy thing up on a boom arm or, in a softbox that can easily blow over if I'm on location. So the size is super nice, and being that I don't shoot in high-speed sync a lot, or almost ever, I'm just not a big fan of it, and I don't have a need for it, really, to be honest. I'm not saying it's not a good thing, I guess I just don't need it. It's not worth losing all that power in my strobe, so 100 watt seconds is just great for me. You guys have probably heard me talk about this in the past. One of the things I love that Godox does is they've got this little kit. It's got these little magnet attachments, a grid, it's got barn doors, they've got the little diffusion panel. And what these are made for is to go on the V1s, the round head, it just magnets right on top of there. But one of the great things is that the AD100 is that exact same size. So all these little attachments also go on the AD100. I got the barn doors and all the filters and all the same things that go on my V1 will go on the AD100, so it's very versatile in that regard. Of course, with these modern location strobes, there's not going to be a cord that plugs into the light that then plugs into your camera, so you're going to have some kind of trigger. I like the Godox X Pro trigger. I have had no problems with it whatsoever. This thing runs about $70, I think, so you're going to have that as well. One way around that, however, is if you are a Godox speedlight user, whether it be the 860s or the V1s, if this is on your camera and the AD100 is your off-camera second light, this can act as the trigger to fire your off-camera strobe. So that's a way around getting a trigger like this. Now, one of the ways I love to use this little light is in a softbox. As you can see, I've got a softbox set up back there. I've got a couple of those. I really like them. I use them often, whether I'm in the studio or whether I'm on location, but they're not my favorite softbox. I'm actually in the process of looking for something better, and I'll share that with you here in a little bit. But the way I use that and the way it works really well, Godox makes this little attachment. The cool thing about it is the light can fit right inside there. It tightens down like that, and then the light is just inside there. Now, what's great about this is the light stand is going to go in here, and any pressure or any torque is going to be on this mechanism here, not the light itself. One thing to point out with this little device is the front is equipped with a Bowens mount. So anything that is Bowens related, a Bowens softbox, a speed ring, whatever, will just click right into this. Now the light itself, very simple to use. It's got a power button, roll that down. So the light has several different modes, from manual all the way from full power down to 1/256th of a power. It's got multi, it's got through the lens, which seems to work very, very well. Of course, you've got all your channels, your groups. You can program all of that, so you could have different groups and different channels going on at the same time. For whatever reason, mine is on group B. I just always know that the AD100 is B. I don't know why I did that, but I've kind of just fallen into that. It also has a battery that just pops out. Rechargeable battery. Happens to be the same battery that goes into my V1s, which is very convenient. I have not worn this battery out very often, not in one single shoot at least. I did have to charge it the other day, but it'll go for a good long time. If you shoot a wedding, or I've shot commercial work where I'm doing food photography for 3 or 4 hours and this thing's going the whole time. I've never even come close to wearing it down. And then one more thing I want to point out to you guys, which is a super convenient little deal. It has, obviously, this is the part of the strobe that's going to flash, but it also has a modeling light. Now, I've heard a couple of people talk about this as a lamp. The technical term in the photography world is it's a modeling light. And I always turn mine on from the trigger. I can turn it on and off right here. Yeah, there we go. So if I'm doing product photography in the studio and I want to see what my light is actually doing as I position it, I can turn this modeling light on and get a sense of what it's doing. Now, one thing I want to show you guys, and I don't know how well you can see this, the modeling light is right down here. I don't know if I can show you that very well. It's really bright right down here in the bottom. So the modeling light is not going to be a very exact representation of what the strobe is going to be when the strobe fires. It's similar, it's really close, but it's not exactly the same. It'd be nice if they could have put that modeling light dead center so that it mimicked the actual flash. Similarly, I'm not an engineer, maybe that's not very easy to do. The one thing that I have found is that when you use the modeling light extensively, you are obviously going to use more battery power. I still have never worn it out, but obviously you're going to use the battery power faster. The other thing is you can get this a little heated up. I've never had a problem, but there is a fan in it that will kick on if the light starts to get hot. Okay, so like I said, guys, the softbox that I have, I use like this. One of the reasons I don't love this softbox is because it's not very tight. See how loose this just comes apart? So what I've been doing is taking clamps like this and just clamping it. But as far as size, and this is one of the biggest reasons why I'm looking for a new one. And I've used that Godox on location, the Godox 70 centimeter one. They make them in 90 and 120. It's a little on the deep side. I'm not loving that light, although that was a good alternative. But I am in the hunt. If you've got ideas for a portable softbox that easily breaks down for location shooting, I'm all ears. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. But here's my little setup, ready to go. And I'll give you a little demo what it can do outside. So you guys have seen me use this light in the studio, and here's my little kind of behind the scenes from just a video a week ago or so when I had it in that Godox softbox on location with the smoke and the model and stuff. But I want to just give you a little idea of what an AD100 can do even in bright sunlight like this. Let me show you my setup here. Okay, so I've just got the camera, I've got this little mannequin head and a hat. And if you look in bright sunlight directly like this, if I take the photograph with no flash whatsoever, my shadows are super dark, and you know, the top of the hat is properly exposed, but there's just no shadow detail per se. And I know you can pull that up in Lightroom, but that's not the professional way to do it. Okay, so my AC unit just kicked on, so hopefully you guys can hear me over that without any problems. Here is the shot that I just did. Without the strobe, proper exposure was 2/50th of a second, which is my sync speed at f9, 8 1/3 if you will, if you're an old timer. So 250th of a second, f8 1/3 or f9. I turn the light on at quarter power and I get this shot. So I still had 2 stops of power to go, going through a little softbox like that, bright sunlight, and I could balance the 2 out very nicely. So does that light have a lot of power? Yeah, I think it does. In most cases, I think you're going to be able to keep up with what you're doing on location, even in bright sunlight. I was at ISO 160, by the way. Alright guys, so there you have it. There's my take on the AD100 by Godox, how I use it and what I do with it, and how it works for me. Let me know what you guys think. You know, I'm not trying to put out there that this is the greatest light ever made, you know, even in spite of my little title to this video. It is a great light. There are probably multiple others that are out there that are really good, but let me know your comments. Let me know what you think. Keep in mind affordability as well as what it does. There are a lot of other lights out there that are probably far more expensive, and you know, let me know if you think it's worth spending the extra money. I think for the value that this is and what it does, it's a great option for a lot of different things. If you're a portrait shooter or a wedding shooter, I do use it at weddings. Obviously, if you're a you know, commercial location guy, it's just a great light. So that's my take. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching the video as always, and subscribe if you haven't. I appreciate that, and I will see you guys in the next video.